Hi, my dearest family. So today we are going to be looking at the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I think this is going to be one of the biggest milestone happening in our decade. Obviously, we had already 2020, we had the Saturn and Pluto conjunction. It didn't go down too well. And Saturn and Neptune conjunction can be very similar, actually. So I wanted to prepare this video well in advance. We're gonna have Saturn and Neptune conjunction happening actually twice in 2025, but the exact conjunction is happening 2026 February. So we are way ahead of our time to do certain type of preparation. And if you would like to know more actually about your personal chart, I've got a 30% discount running at the moment on all my personal readings, as well as you can take opportunities to work with me or to study with me as well. I am launching three very exciting courses. One of them is going to be about synastry and compatibility, which is basically about comparing two charts, how compatible a couple is. We're going to do sexology in the lenses of astrology, and that is going to be a complementary course for the synastry one, because in my opinion, intimacy is one of the biggest parts of our relationship department. And thirdly, I'm going to be doing one course on family constellation therapy through the lenses of astrology. So we're going to be diving into what you have learned from your own family and most importantly, how you can overcome those. I have already prepared about 5, 6 videos so far about 2025 and 26. But next month, I will be launching about 1.5 hour long videos for each sign. So I recommend ringing the notification bell so you can get updated. You can see when these videos are coming out. It's going to be very much in-depth video about how you are going to be impacted in 2025 and 26. Of course, you're going to have to take into account your own birth chart as well. So that's a bit of a challenge because obviously I cannot see that right in front of me. I'm going to be able to give you a general forecast. And if you would like to get some detailed descriptions of the week ahead, then I recommend joining my YouTube membership, where I'm going to be giving you 10, 12 videos a month. Sometimes these videos are actually 3 hour long because depending on how busy the sky is, I break this down for all 12 signs. So if you are interested, check that out. So let's get started with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. And in order for us to understand what this conjunction is going to bring, we need to understand a little bit the synodic cycle between Saturn and Neptune, as well as we might need to be looking at the previous cycle as well. So the very last conjunction between Saturn and Neptune happened in the sign of Capricorn in 1989. We actually had 3 conjunctions happening at that time in March, June, and November. Saturn and Neptune meet approximately every 36, 37 years. However, we can start feeling already what is about to come with Saturn and Neptune, because Saturn and Neptune have been co-present in the sign of Pisces since 2023 March. And Saturn in Pisces, but Neptune is going to be moving into the sign of Aries first. And that's happening between March to May 2025. And then Saturn and Neptune will be co-present in the sign of Aries from May 25 till September 25. Then Saturn and Neptune will be co-present in Pisces again between October 25 to January 26. And then Neptune moves into the sign of Aries, January 26, 26. And then Saturn enters Aries on 13th of February 2026. And then basically we're going to have a conjunction between Saturn and Neptune at 0 degree of Aries, February 20th, 2026. And pretty much they're going to be co-present with each other until 2028 April. So we can say that Saturn and Neptune are dancing around each other for a good 6 years, 5, 6 years altogether. So that is a big one. Now, the very last conjunction brought us the Berlin Wall that came down. Nelson Mandela was released from his incarceration. And also it brought the collapse of Soviet Union. So it looks like with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, we are meant to remove certain blockages from our lives. And because it is happening on 0 degree of Aries, I mean, this is a major turning point. We call it as the Aries point of the chart. And whenever the 0 degree of Aries or 0 degree of Libra gets activated in the chart, the entire world is triggered by it. So whatever Saturn and Neptune will bring for us this time around, every single country is going to be impacted. So this is a major conjunction. It's kind of like imagine Saturn and Neptune, like Saturn is the planet of rocks and Neptune is the ocean. So we've got all these rocks in the ocean. So therefore, when it comes to the ship to be sailing on the ocean, it's actually challenged. Saturn is the planet of regulation. So we're going to be regulating certain type of shipping, for example, on the ocean. Or we're going to have a lack of water issue, lack of rain, for example. Or we're going to have to regulate water consumptions, for example. Imagine, the water has got such a big power. We are not aware of it. It's extremely essential, but it also has got a huge power because water washes rocks away. So something that seemed to be stable in our life actually gets washed away. Now, in July, these two planets are 2025 July, around the 25th to be precise. They look like they are in conjunction, but actually they are 12 minutes away. So the exact conjunction is happening in February 2026. So it looks, and historically speaking, with Saturn and Neptune, there is always some political changes happening, major political changes happening. So it's kind of like the government is getting washed away. The government collapses. The government is actually asked to kind of step down. The governments are somehow disappearing. A monarchy is disappearing. These two planets are really opposite to each other. While Saturn is about practicality, Neptune is not so practical. So this could indicate that practicality is not going to be practical anymore. Or Saturn represents traditions and Neptune dissolves things. So the disappearance of certain type of traditions. Or Saturn is kind of like a teacher archetype, someone we used to look up to because it's a master. Somehow that perception over that person is changing as well. Water tends to be eroding things. So there's this erosions of system going on. It really looks like that maybe a political figure is going to be actually getting out of its own chair. It's kind of like the falling of empires, just like it happened in 1989. So Soviet Union collapsed, right? The Berlin Wall came down. Yes, Neptune is also about idealization. So there is this ideal getting shattered about the political system that we have been running. So we've got the clashes of reality and illusions, and there is the need here to balance things out. Saturn represents boundaries, and Neptune doesn't necessarily tolerate boundaries. Just think about the water again. Like water can get into every single corner. So it can feel like that I don't have privacy anymore. I'm kind of getting washed away. I'm not too sure who I am anymore. But also Saturn gives forms and shapes. to something, whatever it touches. So it's trying to give forms and shapes to Neptune. And Neptune is a planet of spirituality, the planet of idealism. So maybe there is going to be a frame given to spirituality. But also Saturn limits something. So it's very possible that spirituality is going to get limited. Neptune represents utopia. So this utopical, is that a word? This utopian picture is somehow comes with restrictions and limitations. Because again, in the sign of Aries, that does not count everyone in. So it doesn't fit everyone. And Aries is going to become rebellious about it. This is about the mastery of your own dreams. But also you might feel like that your dreams are restricted and regulated. And I have no strength anymore to go for something that I have been wanting so badly. And Saturn says, roll up the sleeves and just keep going. Don't get deluded. Don't allow yourself to be washed away. Don't allow yourself to kind of be in a mental fog. So, because a conjunction is a unification of two planetary energies, this is talking to us about that the reality and dreams are brought closer to each other. Therefore, we can make it happen. We just need enough strength, enough confidence. It could also indicate that somehow we are trying to bring science and spirituality together. And I kind of like that because I do believe that, for example, spirituality, I mean, talking about astrology, of course, is 70% pattern recognition, 70% science, and only 30% um, intuition. Your vision can become real. You have to keep that in mind. But because there is Neptune involved here, which is idealism, and because we have idealism involved, there is also the danger of getting disappointed when things do not work out or when things are delayed. And because there is an idealism involved, everyone has got a different picture about their idealistic world. So it comes with a division of people as well. For me, this conjunction looks like it is the birth of the initiation of the ideal political system, but it might end up as a complete disaster, pretty much. I mean, let me tell you that Saturn-Neptune cycles often represents Russia. This aspect is called as the aspect of communism for multiple reasons. I do not want to go into, um, kind of like talking about Russia too much, but this could talk to us about the rise of Russia. I think Russia is going to get back into the world map. I think Russia might become a world power. Because Neptune, what does Neptune want? Neptune wants to be one with others. It wants to unify. So it's kind of like Russia is unifying itself with others. It is making maybe certain type of political movements with other countries. This is kind of like having one world power. But the problem is it's in the sign of Aries, which is about individuality. So where is the individual needs then? Where are the individual needs? And that's where the struggle could start. Saturn is also the planet of fear, so we can get scared of spirituality. We might need to be able to see what is real. What's the real truth behind the scene? Saturn reality, Neptune is behind the scenes. Maybe this is the image of the real world power. They're gonna get revealed. But also Saturn is the death. So the death on a death of an idealistic world. Unfortunately, this could bring loads of death, loads of grief as well. Aries wants to be independent. So therefore, history might repeat itself, just like in 1989, 1991. Loads of Eastern European countries walked away from Russia, right? So this cycle might bring the death of really important people, most likely around the square element, actually, when Saturn and Neptune are going to be squaring each other. But that's going to be happening 2033, 2034. Like Princess Diana died, for example, during a square. Also, there was an impeachment of Bill Clinton. It wasn't necessarily a literal death, but it was a kind of a death, right? So the conjunction is happening 25 and 26 in the sign of Aries, and we're going to have a square in 33 and 34, and we're going to have an opposition in 42 to 43. But anyway, we're going to talk a lot about this because I've got some ideas what to expect with this. What makes this conjunction interesting is that the other two outer planets are also involved because Uranus has just shifted into the sign of Gemini, so it's sextiling this point, and Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius already. So it's actually also sextiling this point as well. So it feels like that there is this huge shift happening in the world, and we're not going to recognize it in the next 30 years. I don't think we need to wait 36 years. I think we're going to start seeing that from 2030. And then if you remember back in 2019, when I made certain type of predictions, I said we are going to be experiencing very challenging periods in the 2020, 2030, but things gonna start getting better after. And I still believe things are gonna get better. We have got a few more years of challenges, half a decade of challenges, I think, but then after things gonna start getting better. So obviously, having a Pluto and Uranus involved, both planets are connected to different type of changes. So loads of new discoveries are on the horizon. But maybe Saturn will want to regulate how much we use internet or phones, how much the phones and internet have taken our lives over. Of course, this is a period of major technological improvements, maybe some improvements in the army industry, or this is the discovery of certain type of new guns and so forth, like super good guns we are talking about. Let me tell you, US is triggered quite significantly. This conjunction is happening on the IC of US. So I'm wondering, is it gonna, there is going to be a political party coming up, and then that's going to get pushed out of their seat, or US will get divided, or US will get getting into certain type of conflict with Russia, or even with the Middle East. Or maybe US will lose its world power, and then it's going to get taken over by another nation. Let me tell you, 2006, when we had Pisces eclipses going on, then India and China economy has become extremely strong, and we have got the repetition of that now. So that's a possibility that someone is taking over the world power. Also, Saturn is the order. So the order is somehow dissolving here. So it could talk to us about loads of legislations that are about to change. But a conjunction represents the planting the seeds. So a new world order is about to emerge, about to be initiated. Yes, it really feels like that compulsory military is going to be happening. This is one of my predictions, actually. Or Neptune wants us to let go of something, but Saturn can be quite stubborn in the sign of Aries. So maybe we are working extremely hard to let go of something, or we need to be working extremely hard to forgive someone or something. Or maybe we do not want to let go of a certain type of structure, tradition, and frame. Again, it's because of certain type of fear. Saturn wants us to see things real, and Neptune is kind of like the fog, the brain fog. So there is the need here to wake up to reality. Not to mention that we have got the Neptune and Saturn conjunction happening, and it's happening with the Chiron and Aries conjunction, the Uranus and Sedna conjunction. But I'll make a separate video about Chiron and Aries. Surely, Uranus and Sedna. Let's see. I might be making a video about that too. This could talk to us about new pandemics as well, and maybe it's blood related. Also, very possible that we are going to experience kind of like bloodshed, loss of lives, people killing, committing suicide. It's kind of like people fighting for their own survival. I know I'm really negative and I'm really sorry, but I cannot be optimistic with this conjunction. This is not an easy one. Neptune is what? Illusions, drug abuse, alcohol. And then Saturn says, stop drinking, stop taking alcohols. I mean, stop taking drugs, I mean. So there is a need here to sober up. Aries is really hot. So Saturn represents lack of something. So there is a lack of water here due to heat. Or this could even talk to us about how much waste we have got in oceans. Remember, Jupiter is also going to be squaring this point as well from the sign of Cancer. And then when I look at the exact conjunction, Mars is actually in the sign of Aquarius, the dispositor of Saturn and Neptune. So it comes with fight for freedom. Mars squares Uranus in this chart. So there is a chaos involved here. And Uranus is still in the sign of Taurus at this point. So fight for resources. And by the way, the conjunction actually happens with the asteroid of Urania. I'm not too sure if I have spoken about Urania before on my channel, but its astrological number, by the way, is number 30, so 30, if you want to be looking up where Urania is in your natal chart. And Urania is the unexpected changes. That's the expression of individuality. That is the challenge to established norms. It's freedom. It's similar to Uranus, actually, to a certain extent. But also, Urania represents astrology as well, though. Urania is quite destructive. Urania asteroid is, as I said, it represents astrology. So it kind of feels like that a new planet is definitely going to be discovered. In Greek mythology, Urania was one of the nine muses, actually, the eldest daughter of Zeus. And basically, Urania is the feminine version of Uranus. So she's the goddess of astronomy and astrology. And usually they depict her with a globe in her hands. And she is basically about foretelling the future just by observing the position of planets and stars. Some really famous astrologers have got very prominent Urania, actually. So Linda Goodman, for example, has got Urania and Jupiter conjunction on her midheaven, just as an example. So definitely, astrology either gets Regulated, for example, I can really kind of imagine that. Is it a good thing? It's a bad thing, it highly depends on um, how we kind of approach that. So Lilith is also there with this conjunction as well. And Lilith is about rebellion. It's on 4 degrees of Aries at the exact conjunction. So Lilith is about rebellion. It's about feeling outcasted, feeling betrayed. Mars will conjunct actually Vesta at that conjunction and Shiva as well. So Vesta, we have got to focus on individuality. We have got to focus on communities. We have got to focus on something new about to come. And we have got to focus on independence. But anyway, I don't want to talk about all these asteroids because we might get very confused. But Saturn is the very last visible planet, and Neptune is actually invisible. So it's somehow trying to make the invisible visible. So definitely it's a major discovery that is about to be happening in the astrological world, and it's going to be changing the fate of astrology. Something invisible is getting discovered. Neptune represents smoking, so maybe smoking becomes pretty much illegal. The smoking is going to get regulated. Or this could even talk to us about Aries is the sign of war. So the war between science and religion. So, maybe religious movements that we don't agree with, certain type of scientific research. This could talk to us about lack of hospitals. This could talk to us about questioning whether charities are real or not. Saturn Neptune cycles are actually about climate changes as well. So there is a climate crisis about to come on the horizon. But Neptune is also social media. So with Saturn, death of social media, is it actually possible? Or is just a new social media kind of like movement? CNN was born, for example, during Saturn and Neptune square. So news channels might be going through a major transformation. Even Facebook was born during a Neptune and Saturn cycle too, when Saturn and Neptune were in opposition, for example. So this is a kind of like a new Facebook. Metaverse will finally take off. When Saturn and Neptune are in the sign of Aries, this could really talk to us about how tired we are. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, and Neptune is, it's kind of like running away from responsibilities. So in the sign of Aries, it's kind of like the tired soldiers, the tired police. The entrepreneurs are tired because they get regulated. You know what I heard just recently? That there is this double death taxation maybe getting introduced in England. Oh, that is so much for me, belongs to this situation. How can be taxing a dead person, right? Or Saturn, the elderly people. Neptune is the suffer. Aries struggle. So it could show that the elderly people are suffering. Well, is the pension going to be disappearing somehow? Or, these type of questions. Or whether the elderly people, it can indicate that the age limit of the elderly people are going to get increased as well. Now, the Sabian symbol of 1 degree of Aries, a woman rises out of water. A seal rises and embraces her. So this could even talk to us about that feminism is rising. The very last conjunction between Neptune and Saturn in the sign of Aries happened on 11 degree of Aries, and that was in 1703. So I looked back what was going on in 1703. St. Petersburg, Leningrad, was founded by Russian Tsar Peter the Great. The Turkish army removed Sultan Mustafa II, lessening the power of sultans. These are very Saturn Neptunian considerations. There was a great storm in 1703, and happened, I think, exactly on the 26th of November. It struck central and southern England. There were high winds and caused 2,000 chimneys to collapse and cost, I don't know, 4,000 oak trees to be damaged. And ships were blown hundreds of miles off course. And actually, 1,000 seamen died as well. This is considered one of the major tragic in history. But Aries is about independence. So I'm just wondering, whether the independence of Taiwan is going to be happening. Or I read actually, while I was doing my own research, that California wants to become kind of separate from US. I've never heard it before, but it was on Google. I don't know how much it is. But what I was started thinking is that the Brexit started 2016 with Neptune and Saturn square. So this is talking to me about that a kind of Brexit could be happening again. Who would that be? Is it Italy, Spain, or Greece? I wouldn't be shocked, actually. I wouldn't be shocked if one of those three countries. Those three countries tend to be complaining quite a lot because when there are immigrants coming, then those are the three ones that people choose. And according to European regulation, you have to actually serve them. And they cannot leave the country until they are all set up. I don't think Greece would be doing that, to be frank, because of their ongoing conflict with Turkey, and that can get escalated because Turkey would like to put hands on Cyprus. Talking about Cyprus, but I'm going to mention this in the Aries and Chiron conjunction as well. Um, Cyprus was invaded in 1974. Yes, 1974. I believe July 20 something. And that is exactly the time when Chiron went retrograde on 24 degree of Aries and it was traveling back to 19 degree of Aries. Well, this time around, exactly, this is what's happening. Chiron went retrograde on 24 and then it got stations direct on 19 degree of Aries. So is it possible that Turkey will want to put hand on Cyprus? Actually possible. But of course, during that Saturn Neptune square, Scotland also wanted to become independent as well. And there were talks about Catalonia as well. So any of those might be actually wanting to be independent. Now, Saturn is a planet of structure, boundaries, responsibilities. Saturn represents kind of like a father figure in our life. Saturn wants to teach us a lesson. And usually it brings certain type of hard lessons for us to get us stronger. Neptune is kind of like the polarity of that because Neptune is dreams and illusions. So Neptune can be quite mystical, but also creative as well. Neptune wants us to be connecting with the higher self. It's the higher octave of Venus. So it's the higher love. That's the planet of compassion. So when we have got these two planets meeting up, there is a tension going on between the material and the spiritual world. So this is telling us on a personal level that sometimes we have to let go of illusions. We have to face reality. We shouldn't be fantasizing about something. This is telling us to build new structures in our lives. But it means that an old system needs to be dismantled as well at the same time, right? So you can set new goals. You can create new, goals and how you're gonna get there. You can put boundaries up, not necessarily self-defense mechanism I'm talking about, but it's kind of like the self-protective spells that you need to be focusing on. Maybe you're gonna have to get in touch with your spiritual path a little bit more. Maybe you're gonna have to figure out your own path. It really feels to me that with Neptune, we are confused about what is about to go down. We feel uncertain. We do not know who we are anymore in the sign of Aries. I don't find my place here anymore. That's a big challenge. Now, Saturn and Neptune conjunction is gonna be happening, on 0 or 1 degree of Aries. So it, as I said, they are quite opposite archetypes. It's a little bit similar, like to Saturn in the sign of Pisces, actually. So Saturn is trying to structure the energy of Neptune. So in positive ways, let's be optimistic. It is helping to put your imaginations into a shape and form. This is telling you to believe in the power of self. It is testing your beliefs about how real you see yourself in the mirror. And it's trying to remove all those like fears and obstacles that you have created for yourself, like the Berlin Wall. And you need to be able to knock that down, Aries. So where is the Aries cusp of your chart? Because there is a new beginning happening there. There is a vision there that you need to be setting a target for and make it happen. This is having a pretty much of a fresh approach to that particular part of your chart. That part of your chart has to go through a renewal. And many of us, this is a vocational path that we need to be renewing. Saturn is going to be testing the beliefs we have. Outdated beliefs that need upgrading. Uranus is in sextile, Pluto also sextiles. So our belief system needs to be upgraded. Neptune is, kind of like a blind faith in something. Yes, some of our dreams are gonna be flushed down on the toilets. It's kind of falling into oblivion. Maybe this is kind of like a depressed state of mind that we all need to come out of. Maybe we need to be having a look at our own um, healthy and unhealthy habits. With Neptune, it is said to be very difficult to diagnose something. Neptune represents the immune system. So Aries, strength, Saturn, lack of strength. So this could indicate something that is kind of attacking the immune system. Neptune is the planet of sleep. I'm afraid to fall asleep, Saturn, because I need to be guarded. So, you know, like having a vocational reading during this time might be extremely important because maybe we have, kind of walked away from the true calling of ourselves. And this is really a time, the next 30 years is really a time when we need to be able to figure out who we are. And the sooner we do that, the better our lives become. This is talking about real dreams. So are we chasing clouds, pink clouds, or are we actually chasing gray clouds, black clouds? What have you been dreaming about? What have you been dreaming about in the last few years, actually? And maybe that's something that you're gonna have to start focusing a little bit more. So, guys, this is my interpretation on the upcoming Saturn and Neptune conjunction. I know, I'm really sorry. I was more on the negative side, but there are definitely very good energies involved here. And obviously, the Uranus sextile and the Pluto sextile as well to this point. So we've got a mini grand trine, and I prepared a video about that, and I was a lot more optimistic on that. Remember, I'm describing archetypes here, but we're gonna have to put the bigger picture together. But there is so much going on in 25 and 26 that to make just one video and talk about all the constellation together would be extremely difficult. So that's why I decided to kind of, break it down by archetype to archetype, so that when you listen to all kind of 15 videos that I have prepared, then you can put them together yourself and you can make your own conclusions. So thank you very much for being here, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.